Am I the antagonist for accusing my GF of weaponized incompetence? My GF, 28 female, and I, 31 male, have been dating for 4 years. I purchased my first home last year and we moved in together. She is not on the title and she does not pay anything towards the mortgage. She is in grad school and works part-time, so she simply doesn't have that kind of money right now. She helps pay for utilities and groceries, but that's pretty much else. Honestly, I think she's getting a pretty sweet deal. I do, however, expect her to do chores around the house. She was brought up in a very sheltered environment. She's the youngest of 4 siblings and, in my opinion, her parents babied the crap out of her. Her dad in particular did everything for her. When we first started dating, she was still taking her car to him so that he could bring it in for oil changes. Since she's moved in with me, there's definitely been a learning curve. I had to teach her how to clean and do dishes. She didn't know that you can't just put absolutely everything in the dishwasher. Cooking is a hard no from her, and she's perfectly fine ordering out for every single meal. She'd never used a rake or lawnmower or shoveled snow. I like to think I've been very patient with her in regards to teaching her these things. But pretty much everything I try to teach her is met with resistance or is too hard or too dirty, and she gives up and expects me to do it. I've let a lot of this go because I love her and I know that a lot of this is her parents' fault, not hers. But last weekend, I finally had it. I had to go visit my parents to help my dad with a project he's working on. This had been arranged for weeks, so my GF knew about it. Before I left, I asked her if she could mow the lawn at some point during the weekend because it was getting long. It was literally the only thing I asked her to do. When I got home on Sunday, the lawnmower was in the middle of the half-mown yard. I asked GF what that was about, and she said that it ran out of gas and she didn't know what to do. She said she called her dad for help, but he's out of town and he told her to fill the tank up at a gas station, but she didn't know where the tank was or how to fill the lawnmower. So she just left everything as it was so that I could help her. I told her I was tired of her acting like she's completely incapable of figuring stuff out on her own. I told her it's ridiculous that she can watch a 5-minute YouTube video of a new makeup technique and figure it out first try, but she can't figure out how to pour gas into a lawnmower. I told her I'm tired of her weaponized incompetence, and if she's not going to pull her weight on chores, then she's going to have to start paying rent to live here. She got defensive and told me I shouldn't be treating her like she's a servant and expecting her to do things she's never done before, and that I'm an asshole for expecting her to pay rent when I know she can't afford it and she won't help me pay my mortgage and get nothing out of it. It's not that she's weaponizing incompetence, she's just actually incompetent. It's her unwillingness to learn or try something that doesn't fit her narrow view of her lifestyle, arguably worse. NTA. So basically she told you she isn't going to act like an adult. I think she needs to move back in with daddy so he can keep her. I also find it strange she did not call you to ask those questions. Actually, I do know why, because you'd tell her unlike her dad who'd do it for her. I'd find an actual adult to date, as this one isn't done maturing yet. Not the a-hole, she's almost 30 and doesn't seem to have basic logic skills or any interest in learning how to be self-sufficient. I also don't know how to fill the gas tank of a lawnmower, but I'm pretty sure a quick Google search would solve that problem if I had to do it. She's not pulling her weight. You want a partner, not a child. Treating her like a servant? While she is a trip. Everyone in the household pitches in, and I don't think I would allow her to live there if she doesn't contribute. She is making more work for you and doesn't even pay her own way. Send her back to her parents. Am I the antagonist for having a dinner party and not using garlic for the food while still drinking alcohol? This is extremely weird, and I apologize in advance for how stupid you're going to think this whole thing is. I can't believe this became a conflict. With the weather being so nice, I decided it'd be nice to have a fun little dinner party. I invited everyone and their SOs if they had them. One of the SOs is Rick. I have always gotten along with him just fine, but he is one of those guys who tries to make the most bizarre things into his entire personality. The biggest one is that he's a huge garlic guy. He's one of those guys who makes a huge deal out of how he uses 400 cloves of garlic in a dish. I don't eat garlic. I have GERD from purging, and unfortunately the biggest triggers for me are alcohol and garlic. I'm okay with cooked onions. For some reason in the past 2 years, my sensitivity to garlic has actually gotten worse. So I didn't use garlic in the dishes I made. Not a huge deal, right? I have a pantry full of any other spice in the world, and I'm not shy about using them. We were eating and I got some compliments on the food. It wasn't anything special. But Rick said that he liked it but felt the food was missing something and asked how much garlic I used. I said I don't eat garlic, so I didn't include it. He scoffed and was like, how can you not use the most basic ingredient to most meals? That's why it tastes like this. He made a big exaggerated face and put the food down. He then asked why I'd have a dinner party if I had such a limited palate and that he wouldn't have people over for Thanksgiving dinner if he was a vegetarian. I said I have GERD, dude, garlic triggers it. He pointed out that I was drinking alcohol. I said yes, I was in fact drinking one hard seltzer that I had flattened, and that these are the only alcoholic beverage I can drink. And that I was also having one just in case my body changes its mind. He and I went back and forth until his girlfriend, the one who is actually my friend, told him to chill. Rick got kind of louder and was laughing like, come on guys, am I really the asshole here, with his hands out. One of the other guys said that it was a little weird but not a big deal. Anyway, it's a month later and Rick still won't drop it. He keeps insisting that it was a douchey/selfish hosting move to drink the alcohol but not cook with the garlic, because garlic goes in everything. So now I'm curious and thought this would be a fun low-stakes question for you all. Am I the asshole? NTA, super impolite to be invited to dinner and criticize the dishes in the first place. Either compliment it if it's good or don't say anything. The fact that he insisted even when you told him why makes him the AH. Why are you friends with this monumental ass anyway? Someone whose entire personality seems to be about one tiny thing? Who thinks he is the food police? I am a very keen cook, and garlic is inappropriate for many dishes. NTA, of course. I am also curious, doesn't he stink 24/7? Let Rick keep talking about it. Maybe even encourage it. Things like, oh Rick, please, definitely tell me more about the food you ate a month ago. Or, oh good, Rick's going to get garlicky again. He's got some spicy takes on food without garlic, maybe a joke. Knock knock. Who's there? Orange. Orange who? Orange, you going to talk more about the free meal you were invited to last month? If so, then maybe garlic my ass before you begin, you pompous and insufferable shit. Then do a BA. Rimshot noise. Since he is insufferable and pompous, he'll double down and keep talking about it in an effort to prove that he's right. Look super serious and thoughtful and say, yes. Please, tell me more. Oh? I see. Do go on. Be very focused and sincere. Ask pointless questions about how the soil color influences the umami in the garlic's husk. Force him to keep talking. Never stop being sincere either. Insist that this is vital information, and no matter what else he is going on in life, garlic is the only thing that matters about him. Bury him in sincere, pungent bullshit. Never ever stop. Make him post here. NTA. Rick sounds unbearable. If my so acted that way, not simply expressing a preference for garlic, but telling the host it was rude to omit it, I would be mortified. No joke, possible grounds for breaking up because who the hell behaves that way? NTA, open and shut case. Am I the antagonist for not changing my daughter's rules on a family holiday to suit the other child? I'm currently on holiday with my father, stepmom, 3 brothers, and my 6-year-old daughter. My youngest brother is 8, the others are adults. I'm a single mom and we live quite far away from them, so we don't see them that often. I wouldn't say I have a particular parent style. As it's just me and her, I'd say it's possibly a mix between gentle and child-led, but I'm a young mom. She was born when I was 17, and so the only friends of mine who have kids are babies, so I don't really have much to compare with. I'm aware I could possibly be too relaxed with her in comparison to other parents, but she's a very well-behaved, kind and confident kid, so I'd like to think whatever I'm doing is working, but like I said, I don't have much to compare it to, so I could be wrong. In comparison to my father and stepmom's parenting, it appears very relaxed. I give my daughter the choice on what she wants to do every day, using when she's in the kids' club to do what I want to do. I let her choose her meals from the buffet, though insist on at least a certain amount of salad, and as we're on holiday, I've increased her bedtime by an hour so she can go to the kids' disco every evening. I thought all of this was pretty reasonable, but my dad and stepmom asked me to change my rules on the morning of day 3 of the holiday. Their reasoning for this is that their son is jealous that he couldn't have pizza for dinner, doesn't get to go to the disco in the evening, and didn't get to go to the beach because they wanted to go to the markets. I told them that he's always welcome to come to do what me and my daughter are doing if they want to enjoy the holiday and do different, less child-orientated things, and they said this wasn't the point. I outright refused to change the boundaries and choices I've outlined for my daughter, and I told them that it didn't feel fair to me to start limiting my daughter's holiday when she's had no problems herself so far. It felt a little like punishing her for no reason. They got really upset and said I was being unfair to my brother, as he was upset. I apologized and told them I regretted us not having the thought to discuss things like this before, but told them I wasn't going to change my daughter's days. They were obviously angry, but walked away and texted to say they were going to start sitting at separate tables for meals and are also obviously avoiding us throughout the day. One of my brothers have sided with me and hangs out with us, and the other with them. They both want the other to apologize so we can start hanging out all together. Though I want this, I really don't want to start limiting my daughter's freedom. My other brother told me my stepmom had called me a bitch over dinner for not budging and ruining the holiday for everyone. Am I the antagonist? Edit, all of us paid for the holiday. My father and stepmom paid more as it's a price per person, and including my youngest brother, there's 3 of them. They also paid for one of my older brothers. I paid for myself and daughter and one of my brothers, the one who sided with me. They're both students, so couldn't afford the price on their own, and we all wanted to go on a holiday all together, but my dad and stepmom couldn't afford both. You're clearly not the a-hole. They're being bizarrely authoritarian for no practical reason and are angry that you've shown them up. If your child can eat pizza with salad and on holiday and can go to the, explicitly for children, disco, then why can't theirs? If they had a good reason, they'd explain it to their child. If they don't, they just look bad. Because they actually are bad. You're not obligated to change your parenting in order to make it easier for them to parent their child. Consistency is super important for children. NTA. We established from the start with our children that different families have different rules, including people like their cousins and other extended family. It's part of the larger conversation that different people have different needs and wants. Keep being consistent with your rules and let your daughter enjoy her vacation. Your brother can't do things because of them, and it literally has nothing to do with you, nor is it your problem, and instead of them allowing him to do the things on holiday, they want you to restrict your daughter. They are major AHs. Am I the antagonist for refusing to pay rent towards my BF's mortgage if I move in with him? My BF, 33 male, and I, 29 female, have been dating for 3 years. He owns a house and lives there by himself. I live in an apartment by myself. We've talked about moving in together as that's the logical next step in our relationship, and we both want to do it. But I have some hang-ups related to moving into a house that I don't have any stake in. I am refusing to pay any money that would go directly towards his mortgage. I don't have any stake in the house. Why would I contribute to his mortgage payments? I'm okay helping with utilities, groceries, household items, etc. But paying his mortgage is a hard no from me. I just don't think it makes any sense for me to pay towards his mortgage when I would get nothing from that if we were to break up. His argument is that I would essentially be living with him for free, and it would cause an uneven dynamic in our payment towards shared living expenses. Which I kind of get, but at the same time he's the one benefiting from paying down the mortgage and gaining equity, not me. He also argued that his mortgage is pretty much exactly what I was paying in rent, so by cutting that in half I am saving a lot of money on living costs compared to living on my own. Which, yeah, that's nice too, but legally it's still not my house. I told him the only way I would pay money for rent is if he signs a contract with me stating that any money I pay towards his mortgage will be paid back to me by him in the event that we break up. It would also allow me protection from eviction and other basic tenant rights, similar to a rental agreement. He is refusing to sign anything like that because, in his words, I could break up with him for no reason and then take him to court for thousands of dollars. Which, I suppose is true, but I wouldn't just break up with him for no reason. This whole situation is driving a wedge between us, and he's pissed at me for being so difficult when all he thinks he is asking is that we split living expenses 50-50 if we are to live together. To me, it's not that simple when he's the one owning the house we would live in. If I were on the title, it would be a different story, but he's not willing to put me on the title because he's lived there for 7 years already. My lease at my apartment is up in 2 months, and I know I need to make a decision sooner than later. It doesn't help that my landlord is going to be increasing my rent, and similar apartments in our area are going for even more than I'm currently paying. But I just don't feel right contributing money towards his mortgage. I also know that if I renew my lease, it's pretty much a dagger to our relationship, which I don't want because I do love him and see a future with him. I just want to make sure I'm protected. I can tell my BF's patience on this is wearing thin, and he's upset with me for digging my heels in on this. But for me, this is about protecting myself for the worst-case scenario while he's not really risking anything. You clearly don't have any problem paying your landlord's mortgage and you have no stake in that. How is this any different? You live there, you can help pay for the expenses. YTA. If you were moving into an apartment together, would you refuse to pay rent? I don't know if it makes you an asshole, but he's definitely right and you're definitely wrong. YTA. Ask yourself, would you ask your landlord for the money back you paid when you move out? Or ask your landlord if he put your name on his house because you paid rent for a couple of years? If no, why would you expect your boyfriend to do so? You are asking him to live there free or put your name on the title when you aren't married or even engaged, or force him to pay you back whatever you paid if you break up. Hope he tells you to kick rocks. I would. Am I the antagonist for telling daughter I'm disappointed in her and won't take her out to a second restaurant? My daughters 14 and 16 are on the same dance team. Their team won a competition on Sunday, and we were all so excited and proud of them. After the competition, my dad suggested we go out to eat and said he would pay for wherever we wanted. Older daughter, who loves seafood, has been asking for years to go to a restaurant that has unlimited crab legs, but it's a very pricey restaurant, so we've never been able to. She immediately suggested this restaurant. My dad liked the suggestion. My younger daughter suggested we go to her favorite restaurant, a local Mexican restaurant, instead. We've been there many times, as it's much more affordable. Knowing this would be a wasted opportunity, I said older daughter's suggestion made more sense because it was somewhere we'd never been. Younger daughter complained she wouldn't like anything there, but I assured her the menu would have more than crab legs. We got there, and sure enough, there were many dishes that didn't have seafood, including steak, youngest's favorite. Even though there were dishes without seafood, youngest daughter said she wasn't hungry because the restaurant smelled weird. I ordered her steak anyway. Younger daughter pouted throughout the meal. She picked at her steak. Older daughter was very happy and completely absorbed in the crab legs. My mom tried to talk to my younger daughter about the competition, but she wasn't responsive. At the end of the meal, we were all stuffed except for youngest. My dad told everyone to pick a dessert to go, except for youngest because she's clearly not hungry. I asked my dad to leave her alone, and he did, but she was already upset. When we got home, I tried to talk to her. I explained that this was a rare opportunity and sometimes we need to let someone else have something nice. I told her I could have taken us to the Mexican restaurant this weekend. She said it's not the same, because the restaurant we go to the night of the competition is special, and we went somewhere she didn't like. I pointed out that she didn't know she didn't like it because she didn't try it. She said I know she hates seafood and that the restaurant is known for its seafood, so of course she wouldn't want to go there after a special event. She was annoyed all Monday and Tuesday but started to mellow on Wednesday. This morning she asked if we are going to the Mexican restaurant tomorrow. I said not this week because of her behavior, but we'll see next week. She wasn't happy. Am I being too hard on her? I think she was very rude to her grandparents, but I know when you're a teenager everything feels like a bigger deal than it is. Should I have just let her behavior slide and taken her to the Mexican restaurant? NTA, you're teaching her a valuable lesson here. Too many people seem to have the mentality of when I am done being angry and move on, you all have to as well. As though her mood improving absolves her of any accountability for her actions while being pissy. A classic tactic in my house growing up. NTA. Being part of a family means sometimes, lots of times, doing something because it's what someone else really wants to do/try. And, as I seem to learn the hard way all too often, rewarding sulky/petulant behavior for the short-term victory always comes back to bite you as a parent. I'd hold firm on no consolation trip to the Mexican restaurant really that now too. Now, they're both on the dance team, and younger daughter should get to feel like she's being celebrated too, so maybe next time there's a family treat it's her choice, since older daughter made the pick this time. NTA, and can y'all take me to dinner with you next time? That sounds amazing. Steak or crab legs are both amazing. Your youngest pitched a fit like she was 5. Every point you made was right. Take the rarer opportunities. It isn't favoritism, and you offered to go to the Mexican restaurant later. Hell, I would be happy if we went to McDonald's. Just mention food is involved anywhere, and I'm baited. Both your kids won. Seems unfair to go to the restaurant only one of them wants to go to. If your daughter is anything like me, then the smell of seafood is completely off-putting. I can't eat if I smell it. It makes me feel nauseous and just physically ill. And your father's comment was just petty. Am I the antagonist for telling my mom her stepdaughter is possessive and she needs to do better to keep her away from me? My mom married Jeff when I was 6 years old. My dad died 2 months earlier, but my parents were divorced at the time. Jeff and his daughter Emma lived in another state, and all 4 of us moved to a new place to start over. I met Jeff and Emma 2 weeks after my dad died. Mom made a fast move because she now could with Dad not able to stop her. Right from the get-go, Emma has been clingy, possessive, and kinda a little creepy too. I didn't like her from the first day we met because she told me Jeff was my dad now and that I needed to learn how to be a family with them because she wanted a sister and a mom. It upset me so bad because I was missing my dad. He wasn't gone that long, and I had this strange girl tell me to replace him already. I told her that her dad wasn't my dad, and I missed my dad. She told me she didn't care and things were different. I went to my mom, who told me to give Emma and Jeff a chance and said Emma likely got overexcited. Emma has continuously made life so awkward for me. She insisted we share a bedroom, which my mom and Jeff said yes to despite having a spare bedroom. She started wearing my clothes and telling me I could wear hers. All fine with Mom and Jeff. She hated how I kept in touch with my best friend from back home. Hated it even more when a year later my best friend's family moved nearby and we got to see each other again versus just talking over the phone. She was rude to her, told her to leave me alone, told me I had to spend time with her instead of my best friend. Emma tore up photos of my dad and told me that he was the past and her and Jeff were the future. She did get into trouble for that, but then I got into trouble for not letting it go. I was 9 at the time, I think. Emma tells everyone I'm her sister and we're so close. whereas I am more honest with the people I am close to and don't hold back on how unhappy I am at home. Over the years, nothing has changed much. Only she's far more obsessive now. Jeff doesn't like me because he really doesn't like that I don't consider him my dad, and I will be honest, I don't think of him as a parental figure even though I know he is. I don't love him and I hate Emma, which he also knows. My mom has talked to me before about being nicer to Emma and to stop pushing her away so much. She got on my case again about it because I wouldn't go to camp with Emma, we're both 16 now by the way, that she wanted to go to, that allowed almost like a sibling experience. Emma went solo and I stayed. So Mom was at me, and I eventually kinda snapped and told Mom that she needed to fix how possessive Emma is and do better by me, because I'm her daughter, I lost my dad, and she threw me into such a fucked up dynamic and never cared about what it did to me. I told her at the very least she needs to keep Emma away from me. Mom was mad and said I portrayed Emma like some sort of bad person. She's still mad. Am I the antagonist? NTA. Christ, Emma sounds terrifying. To want to have a sister and a mom is one thing, but what she's been doing is really creepy. From the way you put it, she's trying to alienate you from everyone and force you to accept her and her dad as the only people you can turn to. It sounds like the beginning of a horror movie. Your mom, on the other hand, is a major AH for the way she's handled things. I would move out at first opportunity and cut all contract. This is not healthy in any way, and I'm honestly scared for you. NTA. How could you see Jeff as a parental figure when he has failed so spectacularly at making you feel safe in your own home? He needs to get his little demon seed child under control. I am so sorry for the loss of your dad, and that your mom has checked out from her job as a parent. Because here is the thing. Hypothetically speaking, even if the issue was that you were pushing people away because you had trouble adjusting to the new family dynamic, and even if Emma and Jeff were the healthiest and nicest people, you would still deserve to have your boundaries respected. You would still deserve to have your own private space, your own belongings, and your own friends. Trying to force you to merge into a sibling dynamic with Emma would backfire under the best of circumstances, and Emma's behavior has ensured that these are not the best of circumstances. NTA, Emma is some sort of bad person. Describing this as thrown into a fucked up dynamic is the perfect way to put it. You never even had time to grieve your father before being told you had a new one, who doesn't like you because you don't see him as a father, which isn't how being a step-parent works. It sounds like everyone had this idea of their perfect family life and they resent you for having human feelings rather than just going along with it. It doesn't sound like this family is into therapy, but if you can talk to your guidance counselor, your school might have free mental health resources that might help you work through your grief for your dad. Most importantly, remember that you've made it this far, a few more years, and you never have to see anyone you don't want to see. I know it feels like forever, but it will pass and you will get through it. Build your friends and connections with their families because it sounds like your own is not very supportive. Good luck. They should understand that you can't force someone to love you. You have to be respectful, but you don't have to love them. You can't forget your dad or replace him. They should have tried to understand this. Jeff could have done what's necessary to make you feel home and be a good stepfather. He chose not to. That's not your fault. Your feelings are true and should be heard. If not, you're not the a-hole for getting mad at the situation.